All right. As a fighter, and one of the role models or leaders and coaches at my gym, I get asked all the time by newer people coming in, what it takes to be a fighter. Like they tell me, "Oh, I want to be a fighter. I'm obsessed with this. I really want to do it. I watch UFC and I want to be a fighter." And they haven't even sparred yet. So I'm going to go into what I think are the necessary steps in order to make it to your first amateur fight. Because you got to start as an amateur and then move to pro unless you come from a highly credentialed wrestling or jiu-jitsu or kickboxing background. Um, there's really no other way. So, say you watched MMA on TV, whether it be UFC or Bellator or PFL, you get the gist. You have to start training if you aren't already training. And by training, if you want to do MMA, you have to train everything. That means you have to be good at grappling, your jiu-jitsu, your judo, your wrestling, maybe even sambo if they have it there. Then once you start training, you need to put in the work. If you want to be a fighter, you're probably going to be having to train 5, 6 days a week. A lot of people have jobs, so if you can only come in once a day, you got to do multiple sessions during that one time a day. So if you can only come in after work, do your 6 to 9 p.m. or whatever your gym has. And then once you get comfortable training and you feel like you're getting comfortable, ask your coach if you can spar. I really don't think that anybody should be wanting to be a fighter or think that fighting life is for them until they have sparred, because I've seen so many people who say they want to be fighters come into the gym and get punched in the face and have a really rough sparring session while everybody's watching and never show up again, or come up with excuses as to why they can't spar. That person is not about that life and they should not be a fighter. If you spar and do all right and come back the next time and want to do it again, then okay, you have a shot there. Um, so yeah, you gotta get used to sparring, and you need to put in those hard rounds when you're first starting. As you get more experience and have had fights and understand what it means to get punched in the face and stuff like that, and are comfortable, then okay, maybe you can spar less or do more flow rounds instead of hard sparring. Um, Sorry, turning the mic volume up. Okay, while you're getting there, you train to have fun, train to get better, to improve on your moves, and then set small obtainable goals with the big goal of getting to your first amateur MMA fight or amateur kickboxing match. So if you're going the MMA route, start having some jiu-jitsu tournaments. Train for those. Also train your other disciplines, because you don't need to train jiu-jitsu 100% if you're going to like a local good fighter, something along the lines of that. And then go and compete in those. And if you're young enough and can wrestle in high school, do that too, because you're going to get like 30 matches in a season, unless you're on JV, which will probably be like 20. Well, you can get like 30 to 50 on varsity. And then from there, if you want to be a fighter, do a smoker. You can do a smoker and it doesn't affect you at all unless you get knocked out. Um, you can have smokers and there's no winner or loser. It's just true experience. Against another person, it's like really hard sparring, but you're getting that real experience with an audience there and everybody, going after each other hard. So it's like as real of a fight without actually, being on your record. Then from there, if you're still going the MMA route, I'd highly recommend having some amateur kickboxing matches, because how many times have you seen the guy who just can't take the person down and then they suck on the feet or aren't comfortable on the feet and get their ass kicked? You want to be comfortable and proficient in all areas, so I recommend having kickboxing matches. A lot of guys from our gym now are having 10 plus kickboxing matches and then transitioning to MMA, and they're knocking dudes out because they just have such a supreme striking advantage. And then I work with them on the grappling and and other coaches too, and they're getting proficient there, so they know enough not to get taken down and then to beat the shit out of people on the feet. Okay, once you've done those and your coach approves, you can go and have your first MMA fight. Um, if you have a higher kickboxing, credentials, you might get paired with a tougher guy in your first fight, but it's okay because you've done all the necessary steps and are comfortable and proficient in all the areas. So you can go ahead and go and fight pretty much whoever. Like my buddy Marcus, he's probably like 15 or 20 kickboxing and boxing matches before he had his MMA fight, fought a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, and in his first fight knocked him out in the first round. The guy couldn't even come close to taking him down. So there's an example of a guy who's done the smokers and, a jiu-jitsu match or two and wrestled a little bit and had a bunch of kickboxing matches and tons of experience. And then once you're there and you have your first MMA fight, you have to train everything. So you have to develop a training schedule where you're training everything enough. And then you have to really be working on the areas that you're weak in. I don't really think you should be focusing as much on your opponent as you should be focusing on yourself and where you need to improve in. So I think that these are kind of the things that you should do to get from beginning to your first MMA fight, amateur. And then we'll go from there and some tips and tricks along the way. But I figured I'd just spread some knowledge for people that don't really have an answer, or asking around and not really getting the right one. So this is the beginning of my YouTube channel, and just drop a comment, like, subscribe, and help me build this channel. Thank you.